Hello everyone, I am Navneet Ishwante from IIT's GATE classes. In this section, we are going to see GATE 2008 and GATE 2008 solutions of aircraft performance in aerospace engineering. In GATE 2008, the aircraft performance consisted of 20 marks, total marks of 20 marks, out of which they have asked 4 1-mark question and 8 2-mark question. Total marks they have asked is 20 marks. GATE 2008 paper is a total marks of GATE 2008 is 150 marks, out of which 20 marks has been asked under aircraft performance. GATE 2008 question number 5. The service ceiling of a transport aircraft is defined as the altitude. Option A, that is halfway between the sea level and absolute ceiling. Option B, at which it can cruise with one engine operational. Option C, at which the maximum rate of climb is 0. Option D, at which the maximum rate of climb is 0.508 meter per second. So transport aircraft, what we are talking about is turboprop aircraft or piston engine aircraft, piston prop aircraft. That's what we are talking about, turboprop or piston prop aircraft. Okay. Now, if you see, what is first we have to define what is service ceiling, then we have to define what is absolute ceiling. Service ceiling, first we'll discuss about absolute ceiling. Absolute ceiling is the maximum altitude the aircraft can fly. Okay. At this altitude, what happens is the excess power becomes 0. The maximum excess power becomes 0. That is, rate of climb is equal to 0 at this altitude. That is, at this altitude, power required, power available just touches the power required curve like this. This is power versus velocity. So this is the power required curve, power required. So power available, this is the power available curve. Power available just touches the power required, at which power available is just equal to power required at just one point. So the excess power, that is power available minus power required, is 0. That means rate of climb is nothing but power available minus power required divided by weight. So excess power is 0, power available minus power required is 0. So rate of climb is 0 at this altitude. This is the absolute ceiling definition. Since practically it is not possible to attain absolute ceiling, so they are defined as service ceiling for the aircraft. Service ceiling is the practically possible maximum altitude the aircraft can fly. It is the practical possibly maximum altitude the aircraft can fly. For piston engine aircraft, the service ceiling is taken as the altitude at which rate of climb is. For piston engine aircraft, service ceiling is taken as the altitude at which rate of climb is 100 feet per minute. If you convert into meter per second, it is 0.508 meter per second. Service ceiling is taken as the altitude at which rate of climb is 0.508 meter per second. Same for jet engine aircraft. Jet engine aircraft, the rate of climb is taken to be the service ceiling is taken to be the altitude at which rate of climb is 500 feet per minute. If you convert into meter per second, it is 2.54 meter per second. So, among this option C corresponds to absolute ceiling definition, absolute aerodynamic ceiling or absolute ceiling definition. Only option correct is option D. The service ceiling is defined as the altitude at which maximum rate of climb is 0.508 meter per second, which is for a piston engine aircraft. So the transport aircraft they consider as piston engine aircraft. So the service ceiling is taken as the altitude at which rate of climb is 0.508 meter per second. So option D is the correct answer. Next, question number 6. The drag of an aircraft in a steady climbing flight at a given forward speed is inversely proportional to option A, inversely proportional to climb angle. Option B, higher than the drag in steady level flight at the same forward speed. Option C, lower than the drag in steady level flight at the same forward speed. Option D, independent of climb angle. So, drag on the airplane can be, drag on the aircraft is nothing but drag equal to CD into half rho V square S. As CD is nothing but CD naught plus CDI. CDI is the induced drag into half rho V square S, where CDI is nothing but CL square by pi AR, okay, into half rho V square S. So steady level flight I represent it by steady level DCL. For climbing flight I represent it as D climb. Now if you take what happens to lift, lift during climbing flight is lift equal to lift climb is nothing but W cos gamma. Okay. But lift during steady level flight is nothing but W. So substitute that. When I substitute W equal to lift during steady level flight, it is LS cos gamma. So what happens during climbing flight? Lift lift of the climbing flight is less than the lift on the, because cos gamma is less than 1, so lift of the climbing flight is less than the lift on the steady level flight. So if we non-demonstrate this, lift coefficient for climbing flight is less than the lift coefficient of steady level flight. So the thing is, if you take drag during steady level flight is this much, but drag during climbing flight, what happens? Drag during climbing flight, what happens? CD naught remains same, but CL is represented as CL of climb. So already we have discussed that CL for climb is less than the CL for steady level flight. So it is okay. CL for steady level flight. So what happens now? Since CL is less, CL for climbing flight is less, what happens? CD for climbing flight, CDI, induced drag coefficient, because drag for climb is directly proportional to CL for climb square. So since CL for climb is less than the CL for steady level flight, what happens? Induced drag coefficient during climbing is less than the induced drag coefficient during steady level flight. So, due to which drag of the climbing flight is lower than the drag of the steady level flight. So, this is what we obtain from. So, what are the statements given? Option C is the correct answer, because drag for climbing flight is lower than the drag in steady level flight at the same forward speed. If it is same forward speed only, this condition holds true. So hence option C is the correct answer. Okay. So drag during climb is less than the drag in steady level flight at the same forward. Next, question number 7. In a steady level turning flight of an aircraft, load factor at a load factor n, the ratio of horizontal component of lift and the aircraft weight is dash. Okay. What told, they have told that it is undergoing a level turn weight. For level turn flight, we already know that uh, it is turning at an angle phi. Okay. So if you take the vertical component of lift, it is nothing but L cos phi. The horizontal component of lift is nothing but L sin phi. For turning flight, load factor N is nothing but secant phi. If for turning flight, the load factor is given as secant phi because for turning flight, L cos phi is nothing but equal to weight because the vertical component of lift is L cos phi, that is equal to weight. So N is nothing but lift divided by weight. If I divide lift, if I take the cos on the other side, it becomes 1 divided by cos. So N is nothing but secant phi. Okay, N is nothing but secant phi. So what they asked us, the ratio of horizontal component of lift divided by weight. Horizontal component of lift is L sin phi. So L sin phi divided by weight. So this is what they asked. So which is nothing but L divided by W is nothing but load factor N sin phi. Okay. We already know that sin phi, sin square phi from trigonometric relation, sin square phi plus cos square phi is 1. So from that we can obtain sin phi. So sin phi is root of 1 minus cos square phi. If I take cos pi outside, what happens? It becomes cos square pi outside. What happens? This becomes as cos pi root of secant square pi because 1 divided by cos square pi minus 1. So which is nothing but cos secant square pi is nothing but n. That's what we know. So it is n square minus 1. Substitute here in this relation for sin pi. So sin pi is nothing but n load factor n into cos pi into root of n square minus 1. N is nothing but secant pi. Secant pi is nothing but 1 divided by cos pi into cos pi. So cos pi got cancelled. The only term present is root of n square minus 1. So root of n square minus 1 is the answer. So option C is the correct answer. Because what happens? N is nothing but 1 divided by cos pi. Already there is a cos pi. So sin into root of n square minus 1. So cos pi got cancelled. So only the horizontal component of lift divided by weight is nothing but root of n square minus 1, which is nothing but option C. Question number 8. The parameters that remains constant in cruise climb of an aircraft. Option A, equivalent airspeed and lift coefficient. Option B, altitude and lift coefficient. Option C, equivalent airspeed and altitude. Option D, lift coefficient and aircraft mass. So, what happens? Now, if you take what happens to altitude, whenever you are running a cruise climb is nothing but a steady climb. We are undergoing a steady climb like this. So, the altitude changes. Altitude changes here. So, whichever options having altitude is wrong. Whichever option which is containing altitude is wrong. So if you have to undergo a cruise climb, what happens? Okay, that is we are undergoing a cruise climb means that is gamma climb angle gamma is constant. It is not varying. Climb angle gamma is constant. So for any climbing flight, lift is nothing but W cos gamma. So if gamma is constant, that means L by W equal to cos gamma, which is also constant. L by W is constant. So what happens if we have to maintain L by W as constant? What happens? See, lift is nothing but half rho V square S CL. Now, what happens uh, if what happens here? Half rho V square S CL. Now CL is nothing but 2W rho S 2W by rho S P square. So let us assume that we are taking an equivalent airspeed. If we are taking equivalent airspeed, what happens to the velocity? Equivalent airspeed is nothing but it is 2 into P naught minus P by rho S. So equivalent airspeed depends upon sea level density, but the true airspeed depends upon actual density at that altitude. But what happens? So since sea level density is constant, equivalent airspeed remains constant for a cruise flight. So equivalent airspeed is constant. Now what happens? Then what happens to true airspeed? True airspeed, since the density decreases with respect to altitude, true airspeed increases with respect to altitude during cruise flight. So if it is CL equal to, if you substitute as a true airspeed, the equivalent airspeed, the density is rho s. Okay, the density which we are considering is sea level density. If you are considering this as equivalent airspeed, that means CL also remains constant. So the parameter here is CL is constant and equivalent airspeed is also constant for a cruise flight. So only option correct is equivalent airspeed and lift coefficient remains constant during cruise flight. Okay. So option A is the correct answer. Next, question number 32. Which of the following statements is true as altitude increases in troposphere? In stratosphere of international standard atmosphere. Option A, temperature increases, dynamic viscosity decreases. Option B, temperature remains constant, pressure increases. Option C, temperature decreases, speed of sound decreases. Option D, temperature remains constant, density decreases. If you consider stratosphere, that is lower stratosphere, what happens is at lower stratosphere, temperature remains constant. But as altitude increases, as in lower stratosphere, throughout lower stratosphere, temperature remains constant. But as altitude increases, pressure and density decreases. Okay. So we have seen what happens to temperature. We have seen what happens to pressure and density. Speed of sound. They are given speed of sound also. Speed of sound is nothing but A. A is given as gamma RT. Gamma is the specific heat ratio. R is the Cp minus Cv value. Specific gamma is the specific heat constant, and R is the Cp minus Cv value, T is the temperature. Now A is directly proportional to root of T. So since temperature is constant, then speed of sound also remains constant in stratosphere. Okay. Where gamma is nothing but Cp by Cv, specific heat ratio. R is nothing but Cp minus Cv. Okay. Gas constant. Okay. Now, so in stratosphere, temperature remains constant, speed of sound remains constant, but pressure and density decreases. Now we have to see what happens to dynamic viscosity. According to Rayleigh's formula, dynamic viscosity at any two altitude can be given as T2 by T1 power 3 by 4. That is, with respect to temperature, the viscosity relation is Rayleigh's viscosity relation is given as mu2 by mu1 equal to T2 by T1 power 3 by 4. Since during in lower stratosphere, temperature remains constant. That means at any two altitude of stratosphere, viscosity also remains constant. Since it is 1 power 3 by 4 is 1, so mu2 equal to mu1. So dynamic viscosity is also constant in stratosphere. So the only relation here holds good is temperature remains constant and density decreases. So option D is the correct one. Next, question number 35. An aircraft has a level flight stalling speed of 60 meters per second, equivalent airspeed. As per VN diagram, what is the minimum speed at which it should be designed to withstand the maximum vertical load factor of 9? That is, initially the aircraft was undergoing a steady level flight, that is lift equal to W, that is equal to half rho V stall square. If you use V stall, then the CL is maximum. At stalling velocity, CL is maximum during steady level flight. During maneuvering flight, that is next they have given maneuvering flight. During maneuvering, what they have given is they have given the load factor L by W equal to 9. That is, during maneuvering flight, lift is 9 times of weight, which is, so maneuvering flight I have represented it as L dash in order to not confuse. So L dash. So during steady level flight, lift equal to W. So if I represent this 9 times of steady level lift, okay, it is nothing but for a maneuvering flight, lift is equal to 9 times of lift due to steady level flight. Now what happens? So now maneuvering lift is nothing but 9 into, okay. So I represent lift L dash. L dash is nothing but CL max at that new stalling speed, okay, at that new design speed into half rho naught V design speed square, that is at what speed we have to design, into S, that is equal to 9 times of lift during steady load flight, that is half rho naught V stall square into S CL max. The common parameters are CL max, half rho naught, and S is cancelled. So V square design is 9 times of V square stall. So during stalling speed is 60 meter per second. Okay, stalling speed is 60 meter per second. So 9 into 60 square. So that is your V square design. So V design is if you take root of this, what happens? It is 3 into 60. So it is 180 meter per second. So option D is the correct answer. So if you have to maintain a load factor of 9, then at this speed if you travel, then you will obtain load factor of 9. Okay. Next, question number 37. An aircraft is cruised at a true airspeed of 100 meter per second under ISA conditions at an altitude at which density of free steam is 0.526 kilogram per meter cube. What will be the equivalent airspeed? Okay, that is they are given true airspeed and they ask us to find out what is the equivalent airspeed. Okay, so the relation between equivalent airspeed and true airspeed is nothing but V equivalent airspeed is root of rho by rho naught of V true airspeed, where rho is the density at that corresponding altitude, which is nothing but 0.526 kilogram per meter cube. Rho naught is the density at sea level, which is nothing but 1.2256 kilogram per meter cube. And V true airspeed, they are given it as 100 meter per second. So we obtain V equivalent airspeed as 65.512 meter per second. So approximately it is 65.5 meter per second. So option A is the correct answer. Question number 39. To maximize the range of the jet engine aircraft, to maximize the range of the jet engine aircraft, it should be flown at a velocity that maximizes option A CL by CD, option B CL power 1 by 2, that is CL power zero point 0.5 by CD, option C CL power 1.5 by CD, option D CL square by CD. Range of a jet engine aircraft is given as the range of the jet engine aircraft is given as obtained as Brickwork range equation for jet engine aircraft is 2 into root of 2 divided by rho s 1 divided by thrust specific fuel consumption into CL power 1 by 2 by CD into root of W naught. W naught is the gross weight of the airplane minus root of W1, which is the empty weight of the airplane. So range is directly proportional to CL power 1 by 2 by CD. If we have to maximize the range, aircraft has to fly at CL power 1 by 2 by CD max, which corresponds, it is what? This corresponds to drag by velocity minimum condition. This corresponds to drag by velocity minimum condition, which is option B. So option B is CL power 0.5 by CD should be maximum. Okay. Next. It is a linked question. It is question number 78 and 71, 79. It is a linked question. An aircraft has a zero lift drag coefficient. The common data what they have given is an aircraft has a zero lift drag coefficient CD not equal to 0.0223 and aspect ratio of the wing is given as 10. The Oswald lift efficiency factor E equal to 0.7. They asked us to find out question number 78 is thrust required for the steady level flight. Thrust required for the steady level flight will be minimum when the aircraft operates at a lift coefficient of option A 0.65, option B 0.7, option C 0.75, option D 0.8. That is, they asked us to find out the lift coefficient when thrust required is minimum. Thrust required minimum is nothing but drag minimum condition. Drag minimum condition is nothing but CG naught equal to CDI, which is CDI is nothing but CL square by pi ER. So CD naught already they given in the data. So it is 0.0223. CL square is what we have to find out. CL is what we have to find out. Oswald efficiency factor they are given it as 0.7, and aspect ratio they are given it as 10, from which we can get CL for that minimum drag is CL for that minimum drag is 0.7. Okay, CL for minimum drag is 0.7. So option B is the correct one. Okay. Then question number 79. That is, it is a linked question. Okay. Question number 79. The glide angle that results in maximum range of the power of gliding. Okay. Option A 1.82 degrees, option B 2.68 degrees, option C 3.64 degrees, option D 5.01 degrees. Okay. So what is glide angle? Gamma is the glide angle. Tan gamma is written as obtained as h divided by range, that is equal to 1 divided by L by. This is the relation obtained during gliding flight. Okay. For range to be maximum, if the range to be maximum, the condition required is L by D to be maximum, which corresponds to drag minimum condition. So L by D is maximum corresponding to drag minimum condition. They asked us to find out what is gamma. So tan gamma is nothing but CL by CD of minimum drag. Already we found out what is the CL for minimum drag. CL for minimum drag is 0.7. So CD for minimum drag is nothing but it is 2 CD naught. So already we know what is CD naught. CD naught is given as 0.0223. So 2 into CD naught, it is 0.0446. So CL divided by CD, 0.7 divided by 0.446. So gamma is nothing but tan inverse of 1 divided by L. CL is 0.7, CD is 0.0446. So we kept in gamma as 3.64 degrees. So option C is the correct answer. 3.64 degrees. Okay. Then we'll move on to next question. It is also a linked question. The common data they given it as consider an untwisted wing of elliptical platform in invisible, incompressible, irrotational flow at an angle of attack 4 degree. Wing aspect ratio is 7. Zero lift angle of attack is minus 2 degree. They asked us to find out what is the lift coefficient. They are given 4 options. Question number 80, they are given wing lift coefficient is dash. So option A 0.66, option B 0.51, option C 0.44, option D 0.24. So what they given? So we have to find the lift curve slope of the wing, which is nothing but lift curve slope of the wing is lift curve slope of the infinite wing, that is aerofoil, divided by 1 plus a naught divided by pi r, where a naught is the lift curve slope of the aerofoil, where a is the lift curve slope of the wing. For any if you take any flat plate or any aerofoil, symmetrical aerofoil or a cambered aerofoil, a naught lift curve slope can be approximated as 2 pi. Okay. If a naught is in per radian, then this relation holds good. If a naught is in per degree, then we get, in order to get in per degree, lift curve slope should be multiplied by 57.3. This is if you want to obtain lift curve slope in per degree. If you have to obtain in per radian, so a and a naught are in per radian, then we can use this relation. If a and a naught are in per degree, then we have to use this relation. So lift curve slope for any two-dimensional body can be written as 2 pi. Okay. So a equal to 2 pi plus 1 divided by 2 pi by pi e. Elliptical wing they are given. For elliptical wing, Ostwald efficiency factor is 1. Aspect ratio they given it as 7. So pi is efficiency. So we get critical slope as 4.8869 per radian. So since alpha is given in degrees, we have to convert this per radian into per degree in order to find out your lift coefficient. Otherwise, we have to convert alpha into radians. So I'm converting lift curve slope in per degrees. So what we have to do is multiply by pi by 180. So if you multiply by pi by 180, we get lift curve slope in per degree. So that is equal to 0.08529 per degree. We got the lift curve slope. Now we have to find out what is the lift coefficient. Lift coefficient is nothing but a lift curve slope of the wing into alpha minus alpha lift equal to 0. This is the effective angle of attack. So alpha A we obtained, that is 0.08529 degree per degree into alpha is 4 degree. The zero lift angle of attack is minus 2 degree. So minus into minus it is plus, that is 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 into 0.85, 0.08529. So we obtain CL as 0.51. Okay, so option B is the correct answer. Okay. There is a linked question to this. That is question number 81. Okay. The induced drag coefficient of the is, they given four options. Option A 0.0053, option B 0.0087, option C 0.0118, option D 0.0197. Induced drag coefficient is given as CL square by pi EAR. CL just now we have found out, which is equal to 0.51 square divided by pi into Ostwald efficiency factor for elliptical wing is 1. Aspect ratio they given it as 7. When you substitute, we get induced drag coefficient as 0.0118. So option C is the correct one. With this, we have solved all the problems for GATE 2008. solutions for aircraft performance.
Okay. Thank you.